Welcome back to Hannity. Hillary Clinton's campaign is reportedly very happy with her debate performance last night, but they shouldn't get too excited. The latest Fox News poll shows the Democratic frontrunner now trailing noteworthy Republicans in potential head-to-head matchups, including former Florida Governor Jeb Bush. Now, Bush would top Clinton 44-40 if they squared off in a general election. Now, the GOP field also continues to take shape. According to the same Fox News poll, Donald Trump and Ben Carson are leading the way, followed by Ted Cruz. Marco Rubio and Jeb Bush are now pushing towards double digits. Joining us now, here with reaction, former Republican governor of the great state of Florida, Republican presidential candidate Jeb Bush. How are you, Governor? Good to see you.
How are you doing, Sean? Everything's great here in New Hampshire.
All right. One question I think stands out in the polls. You do very well in head-to-head matchups. You don't do as well in the primary matchups. How do you explain that?
Well, we're just starting to get to the phase of the campaign that matters. We're starting to see advertising here in New Hampshire and Iowa, and my numbers are moving up. I'm campaigning hard, and over the long haul, all of this hard work will pay off. But it's a long haul. Look, there's a long way to go. There'll be ups and downs, as always. I've laid out a plan to repeal Obamacare and replace it with a market-driven system that would empower more people and shift power away from Washington. I think ideas have consequences, and my record of experience is one I like to share with people as well.
What were your thoughts about last night's Democratic primary debate?
Well, it was there wasn't a lot of challenging going on, other than the challenge was who could get further to the left. I mean, if you counted up the amount of money being spent last night, it was in the trillions of dollars. And it was basically a validation of the failed economic policies of Barack Obama and the miserable foreign policy of Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. And no one seemed to, other than maybe Jim Webb occasionally, there was very little discussion about any disagreement. And I think doubling down on this failure is not the way to go for our country.
You know, to my take on this was we now have an openly socialist party, and it's not just Bernie Sanders. I mean, you heard an outright assault on successful people in America that I think are already overtaxed. And Hillary talking about, what is the government going to come in and make companies profit share? Are we going to do that by some government fiat or some law of some kind?
Yeah, I mean, the rhetoric is harsh left. And the simple fact is 6 million more people are living in poverty today than the day Barack Obama got elected. And the disposable income is down $2,000. Workforce participation rates are lower than they were in 1977. And to continue down this path will only help the wealthy. The wealthy are doing great. I worry about people that are struggling in the middle. I think we need to go the exact opposite direction of moving regulation out of Washington, making it commonsensical by having an economic impact, rolling back some of these really aggressive rules, and dramatically reforming our tax code, which is stifling the ability for the next generation to get a job even.
Yeah, I listened to all the promises that were made last night. Now, President Obama will leave office, and he will accumulate more debt than every other president before him combined. You heard the laundry list: a New Deal, free college education for everybody, free health care for children, expanding Social Security and Medicare, in-state tuition rates for illegal immigrants, similarly Obamacare subsidies for illegal immigrants. How the argument that you're going to give people something for free might be appealing to a lot of people. How do you make the argument that bankrupting the country is not a good idea to get there?
Well, I think we have the benefit now of this philosophy of offering free things to people not working. The wrong track numbers in this country are historically high, and they stay high because people see declining incomes. They've lost control. They don't think the system works for them. I think the better message is let's disrupt Washington. Let's create a little bit of a recession in Washington, D.C. so that we can have economic prosperity outside of Washington. And I know how to do that because I was governor of a state I got to do that as governor. And the state led the nation in job growth 7 out of 8 years. That kind of attitude of cutting taxes, cutting government spending, reforming the things that are broken are what we need. And I think in this environment of deep pessimism, that message will work in a general election.
Governor, if I recall the numbers correctly, you created nearly 2 million jobs as governor. You led the nation. You had how many tax cuts as the governor of the state of Florida? You went to a AAA bond rating, and you used conservative principles. You see, America now, in terms of the economy, we're in decline. Fewer people now working than ever before, 50 million Americans in poverty, 46 million Americans on food stamps, a doubling of the debt, median income down, healthcare costs going up 40% this year. Can you apply the principles you used as governor effectively on a national level?
This reminded me so much, slightly different circumstances because the world's changed, to 1979, where there was a deep pessimism in this country. And there came a president that offered hope and concrete plans to shift power away from Washington, to flatten the tax, to create a regulatory environment that worked, that gave people confidence that if they invested in their own dreams, those dreams could come true more often than not. That's what we need again. We need a hopeful, optimistic message grounded in practical principles, conservative principles. I know we can do this. This is not the worst time in American history. We're acting like it because people have lost hope, and I think we need to restore hope by shifting power away from Washington and disrupting the order there. If we do that, I think we could grow at a far faster rate. We'd see people getting the kind of pay raises that they haven't gotten in a long while.
You know, Bernie Sanders seemed to have the line of the night when he said the American people are sick and tired of hearing about your damn emails. But there were people within the Obama administration that have been prosecuted for mishandling classified information. Do you think the American people are sick and tired of it? And what are your thoughts on the email scandal in general?
Well, look, the partisans in that Vegas crowd were all cheering, but that's a small, tiny fraction of the American people. If you look at any of the numbers, Hillary Clinton's problem is that no one trusts her because she's not been forthcoming. She's not told the truth. The email issue is an issue of national security. She put her political ambitions ahead of the national security interests of this country. Hackers can get into any place, even in our own secure servers in the federal government, but to be able to have a private server, not expect people to, with classified information going over those servers, I mean, this is something that she has to come clean on, and she's not done it. There's an FBI investigation. I mean, this is not finished just because Bernie Sanders says that it has.
You know, Governor, as we go over your track record, when I first interviewed you in this election cycle at CPAC, we talked about your Florida record. We talked about you were the first state to institute vouchers, the jobs you created, the tax cuts you gave the people of Florida, the AAA rating. And I also spent a lot of time at CPAC talking about immigration. As I listen to conservatives about this race, that is the one issue that keeps coming up where where your position alienates the conservative base. Do you think maybe you should listen somewhat to what they're saying, considering it's such a big issue that Americans feel very strongly about the rule of law and people that didn't respect our sovereignty? Any chance that those words that you hear so often are resonating with you in any way?
Listen, I do listen to people for sure, and I've written a book about this, and border security and enforcing the rule of law has always been what I believe, and I believe it in a way that, a practical way to make it happen. We talk about a lot of things these days. This president hasn't enforced the law. There's a way to secure our border for sure and to deal with the 40% of illegal immigrants that come with a legal visa and just stay. But I don't think it's practical to say to the 11 or 12 million people here illegal, just say round them up and send them out. That would cost hundreds of billions of dollars. What I have proposed is a path to legal status for those that don't commit crimes, that work, that pay taxes, that learn English, that don't receive federal government assistance, and over an extended period of time, they earn legal status. They don't earn a path to citizenship. That approach is a practical, conservative approach, and it resonates with people. But I totally get it. I mean, people are very angry that we can't control the border. I'm here in New Hampshire, Sean, where there's an epidemic of overdoses of heroin. I mean, serious problem. And cheap heroin is crossing our border right now. We have a duty to secure our border for national security purposes, for the flow of illegal drugs, for the rule of law, for a lot of good reasons. And that should be the first priority.
All right, Governor, we always appreciate your time. Thank you for being with us, and we hope to see you soon.
Thanks, Sean.